Greetings to everyone. I'm Dr. Mohammad Saad, and here's my short introduction in the slide present in front of you. I'll begin my today's lecture from the modern periodic table. The foundation of the modern periodic table was laid by Moseley in 1914 when he performed his well-known Excel experiment. He observed that the properties of elements uh, are actually periodic function of their atomic numbers, which he discovered after the Excel experiment. So he put forward his statement according to which the properties of elements recur periodically when the elements are arranged in increasing order of their atomic numbers. So if we see this statement and we compare it with Mendeleev, we see only one difference which meant a lot in the periodic table. Moseley used atomic numbers to classify elements in the periodic table, whereas Mendeleev used the atomic weights or atomic mass, you may say that. And when atomic numbers are used to classify elements, then the defects which were which were uh, which were actually um, pointed out in Mendeleev's periodic table, they were automatically removed. For example, uh, there will be no need of separate positions for isotopes if we use atomic numbers, because we know all the uh, isotopes have same atomic number. If we talk about hydrogen, there are three isotopes of hydrogen: protium, deuterium and tritium, and all three isotopes contain one proton, and there is a difference of neutron. So we know that atomic number is actually the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. So due to same number of protons, all isotopes have same atomic number. Therefore, if we talk about atomic number 1, we talk about all the isotopes. We will not be needing any separate position for isotopes. But if we go according to the definition of Mendeleev's periodic table, then we will be needing a separate position, because Mendeleev's used atomic weights or atomic mass, and each isotope has its own atomic mass, has its own mass number. So according to the modern periodic law, we will not be needing any separate positions for isotopes. The second defect was about the misfit pairs of elements. We had discussed that there were positions, there were points where Mendeleev actually disowned his own statement. He actually violated his own statement because according to his rule, he was not getting the periodicity he wanted. So he placed argon before potassium. The atomic mass of argon is 39.95, whereas the atomic mass of potassium is 39.10. So according to his own rule, potassium had to be placed before argon, but he placed argon before potassium. While keeping in mind the properties of these elements, he actually violated his own statement. The same went for nickel and cobalt couple and iodine and tellurium couple. He violated his own law in these misfit pairs of elements. He actually observed their properties and then placed them according to their properties. After the discovery of atomic number, when elements were placed according to their atomic numbers, then the placement that was done by Mendeleev was automatically justified, because the atomic number of argon is 18 and the atomic number of potassium is 19. So argon has to be placed before potassium because its atomic number is lower than that of potassium. So the placement of argon before potassium has been justified on the basis of atomic number. The same justification has been given for the nickel and cobalt and iodine and tellurium couple. The next issue was the placement of alkali metals with the coinage metals. Alkali metals like sodium, potassium, lithium, they were placed with the coinage metal like copper, gold, and silver. We know that uh, these metals actually are quite different in their behavior. Alkali metals are quite reactive. They react sometimes violently, and the coinage metals are quite stable, therefore coins are made of these metals. So they were placed with each other, and this placement was automatically, uh, you may say that these metals were automatically separated on the basis of their atomic numbers, because atomic numbers of alkali metals are lower than that of atomic numbers of um, coinage metals. So on the basis of atomic numbers, these metals have been separated. The last point, which is I think is the most important point, it gives details about the atomic structure, which means that if we study modern periodic table, we actually study about the atomic structure of elements. Now we will move towards the arrangement of periodic table. On the right side, as you can see, I have actually given the smallest of definitions that I could have given. This is these are the smallest of definitions. In this periodic table, these vertical columns are called groups. These two groups are called S block elements, and these six groups are called P block elements. These two and these six, the total 8 groups are called representative elements, because their valencies are indicated by their group number. The horizontal rows present in the periodic table are called periods. For example, this is the first period containing only hydrogen and helium. The second period contains lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. And this is the third period, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So there are total 8 representative elements groups and 7 uh, periods, and there are these elements are called transition elements, and there are 4 series of transition elements. They are called transition elements because their properties are intermediate between S block elements and P block elements. The 4 transition elements series that you are seeing here, from scandium to zinc, yttrium to cadmium, and all these 4 series, they are called D block elements. And here you can see F log elements, and here you can see a contracted part of the periodic table which has been given here just beneath the periodic table. These are F log elements. They are called lanthanides, the upper portion, and the lower portion is called actinides. They are called lanthanides because they come after lanthanum, and they are called actinides because they come after actinum. These two elements, they are F log elements, and most of them are radioactive. So we have got a knowledge about groups. They are vertical columns, periods, they are horizontal rows, metals. Uh, when you talk about metals, you talk about substances which give electrons readily, easily. So uh, metals are represented by the pink portion, by the pink shade you can see in the periodic table. Non-metals are those substances which are happy to actually withdraw electrons towards themselves. They are electron seekers. So non-metals are actually indicated by this yellow shade, you may see that. And a metalloid possess properties of both metals and non-metals. Uh, so metalloids are indicated by the green shade, you can see. Their properties are intermediate of both metals and non-metals. And there comes SPD and F block elements. Those elements having their electronic configuration terminated at s orbital are called S block elements. Those elements whose electronic configuration is terminated at p orbital are called p block elements, and those elements whose electronic configuration is terminated on d orbital are called d block elements, and those elements whose electronic configuration terminate at f orbital are called f block elements. So this is actually the general categorization of periodic table. Now let us move towards the uh, long form of periodic table, or if we study periodic table according to the according to the electronic distribution. So this is the long form of periodic table. If we study about period 1, we know that it is the shortest period containing only hydrogen and helium. We know that the atomic number of hydrogen is 1, therefore it should contain 1 electron to be electrochemically neutral. So 1 electron means that its electron will go into 1 s orbital. Now the filling of these electrons is governed by the Aufbau principle. Aufbau principle says that the electrons are filled in order of increasing energy of orbital. For example, the first electron will go into the 1s orbital and then it will be paired by another electron, and after filling a 1s orbital, uh, the next incoming electrons will go into 2s orbital, and then after 2s orbital 2p orbital will be filled, and then 3s orbital will be filled, and then 3p, then 4s, and the orbitals in this fashion, in this red arrow fashion, will be filled. So if you talk about the helium, there will be 2 electrons in helium to neutralize two charge of nucleus. Nucleus contains 2 protons, therefore there is positive charge in the nucleus, which will be balanced by the 2 negative charges present in the orbit. So if there are 2 electrons present in helium, they all should go into the orbital of 1s. So we see that 1s contains 2 electrons in case of helium. So in the first period, K shell is being filled. If we talk about the second period is called the first short period. It contains 8 elements, in which 2 are s block elements and 6 are p block elements. Why we say so? We see that lithium contains 3 electrons, and 3 electrons will be filled according to the Auger principle. 2 electrons will go in 1s orbital, and the remaining 1 electron will go in the 2s orbital. All 3 electrons have been filled, and their electronic configuration is terminated as at s orbital. Therefore, it is called an s block element. If we talk about beryllium, beryllium contains 4 electrons, and these 4 electrons are filled according to the Auger principle, and their electronic configuration, and its electronic configuration um, it terminates at 2s2 orbital. So these 2 elements are s block elements, which I have represented here, and the remaining 6 elements, they have their electronic configuration terminated at p orbital, and we can see in Auger principle 1s will be filled, and after 1s 2s will be filled, and then 2p will be filled. So when we talk about 5 electrons of boron, 2 electrons will go in 1s2 and 2 electrons will go in 2s2, and then the remaining 1 electron will go in uh, 2p1. And if we talk about carbon, carbon would contain one more electron than boron, therefore its valence orbital, which means that 2p will contain 2 electrons, and nitrogen will contain 3, and oxygen will contain 4, and fluorine will contain 2p5, and then neon will contain 2p6 electrons. In second period, L shell is being filled. The naming of shell uh, starts from K shell, and it continues in alphabetical fashion. After K, L shell will be filled, and then M, N, O, and so on. So here we have discussed period 2. Let's move on to period number 3. Period number 3 is termed as a second short period. It also contains 8 elements. 2 are S block elements and 6 are P block elements. M shell is being filled and S and P orbitals are being filled. If we talk about sodium, then sodium contains 11 protons in its nucleus. Therefore, it should contain 11 electrons to balance the charge of nucleus. Therefore, these 11 electrons will be filled according to the Aufbau principle, which is given here. And these electrons will be filled in this fashion. First 1s orbital will be filled, then 2s, then 2p, and then after filling 2p6, the remaining one electron will go in 3s orbital, as you can see here. Therefore, sodium is an S block element. If we talk about magnesium, magnesium is a S block element as well because it contains 2 electrons and 3 s2 orbitals. So these two are actually S block elements. When we talk about aluminum contains 13 electrons, and these 13 electrons will be filled according to the Aufbau principle, and its electronic configuration will terminate at P1. And after aluminum, all the elements would have increment of 1. So you just need to increase this electronic number in p orbital. So these are 6 p block elements, these are 2 s block elements which I have represented here. Now here I introduce a term which is called general electronic configuration of s block elements. If we see that the highest number that we see on the left side, which is called the coefficient, the last term is 3s in these two. The coefficient is 3. Here if we talk about p orbital, the coefficient is 2. The coefficient is 2 and the coefficient is 1. The highest coefficient is 3 in this one. The highest coefficient actually represents the period of any element. If you write electronic configuration of any element and you see that it is the highest coefficient is 3, you say that it belongs to third period. And the number of electrons that it possesses in the highest orbital, it gives an idea about its group. For example, sodium belongs to first group because it contains only one electron, and magnesium belongs to group 2a because it contains two electrons. And similarly, you can have an idea about aluminum and silicon and so on. Aluminum also belongs to group 3, sorry, period number 3, because it contains the highest coefficient as 3. But if we talk about 3s2 and 3p, the third 3p, the third shell contains 2 s electron and 1 p, which means a total of 3 electrons are there in third shell. So it belongs to group 3a, it belongs to group 4a, and so on. So these electronic configurations actually play a major role in identification of any element. They are just like your NIC, as you have different NIC. Similar to that, every element contains different electronic configuration. If you talk about general electronic configuration of a period, then you tell that the general configuration, which means that if you talk about third shell, which means if we represent the valence shell, the outermost shell, by n, then it is ns1, this is ns2. The s block elements have electronic configuration of ns1 to ns2. Similarly, if we talk about the p block elements, we say that the general electronic configuration of p block element is ns2 np1, and it goes up to ns2 np6. Because these are the valence orbitals, we should mention all the valence orbital in general electronic configuration, and we only show the transition, or we only show the change in this p orbital number. So this is called the general electronic configuration of p block elements. The fourth period is called the first long period because it contains 18 elements. Out of these 18 elements, 2 are S block elements, 6 are P block elements, and 10 are D block elements. In this period, N shell is being filled and all the characteristics you can see on the left side. We talk about the electronic configuration of potassium. Potassium has 19 electrons in all, and the filling of these electrons is governed by Aufbau principle, as we have seen it earlier. These 19 electrons are filled as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, and 4s1. Uh, they total up to 19 electrons, and because the electronic configuration gets terminated at 4s1, this indicates that it belongs to fourth period because the highest coefficient is 4, and in that highest coefficient no other term is there, so therefore the s orbital contains one electron, it belongs to group 1a, so it gives identity of an element. So this is 4s1. And if you talk about calcium, calcium contains one more electron than potassium, which means that it contains 20 electrons. So therefore, if in case of potassium 4s orbital contains one electron, then in case of calcium it must contain two electrons, and we know that s orbital cannot have more than two electrons. Therefore, if there is further increase of one electron, it will have to move towards the next orbital indicated by Aufbau principle, and the next orbital is d orbital according to Aufbau, 3d orbital. So scandium has atomic number of 21, has 21 electron, therefore its 21st electron will go in 3d orbital, and d orbital has capacity of 10 electrons because d orbital has 5 suborbitals, and each orbital is capable of holding 2 electrons. So 5 orbitals and each is capable of holding 2 electrons. This means that d orbital will hold 10 electrons. So scandium to zinc, there is a gradual increase of 1 electron in every element. So the electronic configuration will start from 3d1 and it will go up to 3d10. In case of zinc, if we see, zinc contains, the atomic number of zinc is 30, so there should be 30 electrons. The filling of these 30 electrons should be according to the Aufbau principle, which is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10. And all these superscripts, these are electrons, they all are, actually if we count all of them, they sum up to 30 electrons. So d orbital was capable of holding 10 electrons. If there is an addition of one electron, so that incoming additional electron cannot hold its place in d orbital, it will find its place in another orbital at higher energy, uh, as predicted by Aufbau, which is 4p. So any incoming electron now will go in p orbital, as in the case of gallium. The atomic number of gallium is 31, and therefore the electrons till here are 30 electrons, and the 31st electron will go into the p orbital. And therefore from gallium to krypton, these 6 elements would have the electronic configuration of p1 to p6, and therefore here, from here we get the idea of general electronic configuration, because the highest coefficient in these two elements is 4, so therefore they belong to period 4, and because there is no other term that has a coefficient of 4, so there is only s orbital. In this s orbital there is one electron, so it belongs to group 1a, and there are two electrons in this s orbital, so it belongs to group 2a. So when you talk about general electronic configuration, its general electronic configuration is ns1 to ns2. the general electronic configuration of d block element. D block element is, we must we must write the valence orbital in addition to the orbital that is being filled. So the general electronic configuration of d block element of period 4 is ns2 n minus 1 d1. We always say n the highest coefficient, the fourth shell. It is called the nth shell. So the n is 2 n minus 1 because 3 is 4 minus 1. So it is n minus 1 d1 to n is 2 n minus 1 d10. Here I have written it. The general electronic configuration of d block element is ns2 n minus 1 d1 to ns2 n minus 1 d10. And if you talk about p block elements, then its general electronic configuration of p block elements is, because d orbital is fulfilled, so we will not mention it anymore because it has been fulfilled and it is inner orbital in comparison to fourth orbit. So we only tell ns2 and p1 and ns2 and p6. So I hope that you have got enough knowledge about the electronic configuration of these elements. There are two exceptional cases if we talk about. For example, in case of chromium, we should get electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d4 according to the Aufbau principle. But in actual, it is unstable in nature. What happens because there is no much energy difference between the 4s and 3d orbitals, so the one electron is actually one this 4s2, the one electron from 4s2 gets transferred into d orbital and makes it half filled. As I have talked earlier, d orbital contains 5 suborbitals and each orbital can occupy 2 electrons. So if we talk about 5 electrons in D, it means that there is 1 electron in each suborbital. And according to the stability rule, half filled orbital is more stable than partially filled orbital, which is neither full filled nor half filled. The most stable orbital is full filled, and then the stability is of half filled, and then the least stable orbital is partially filled. So in this case, d orbital was partially filled, so it was unstable in nature. And in this case, s orbital is half filled, so as the d orbital. So the stability is enhanced if chromium remains in this state, and which in actual we get this state. So it is a stable configuration, therefore it is an exceptional case where 4s2, one electron from 4s2 gets itself transferred to 3d orbital. The same goes with copper. Copper contains 29 electrons and it should have electronic configuration terminated at 4s2 3d9 according to the Aufbau principle. But in actual, one electron from 4s2 gets itself transferred to 3d9 making it 3d10. So this has now become fulfilled and this is half filled. So here copper will be more stable in this form, and we find copper in this form because it is stable in nature. So these are the two exceptional cases in which electronic configuration uh, is usually not as of what tells us. Now if we talk about the fifth period, it is called the second long period. It contains 18 electrons similar to the fourth period. O shell is being filled and all the characteristics that you need are presented here. The electronic configuration would always be in the same order. It is similar to the fourth period, you can see, and if there is anything that you find fishy or you find questionable, you can question your you can actually put your question in the comment section and I'll reply to all of you. And there is one question I am leaving for you people, which could be the exceptional cases in the fifth period and why. You can solve it in your copies, and then if you find anything fishy, if you have any questions, then you can post them in the comment section. Sixth period is called the longest period. It contains 32 elements, in which 2 are S block elements, 6 are P block elements, 10 are D block elements, and 14 elements are F block elements. F orbital contains 7 suborbitals. So each orbital is capable of holding 2 electrons. So in total, it can hold 14 electrons. So it contains all the 4 types of elements, and this totals up to 32. The electronic configuration of all these elements are presented in front of you, and the characteristics are presented in front of you on the left side. So the same question is repeated here. You have to discuss the exceptional cases in the sixth period. It is called the longest period because it contains 32 elements, and when we talk about the seventh period, it is the incomplete period because uh, most of the elements in the seventh period are radioactive, or they are the seventh period is not fulfilled. uh, there is enough space for elements to be discovered, so therefore the seventh period is incomplete period. Now it is my, you may say that, duty, or it is my uh, ending of a lecture, that I give some points for you to think. If I give you atomic numbers of elements, can you identify them? The first thing is that what you will have to do, you will have to write the electronic configuration of that atomic number, and then the orbital on which the electronic configuration is terminated. You can have an idea the group about the group and the period, and ultimately about the name of the element that you are actually investigating. The second question for my today's lecture is that for ECA lead, when we talk about Mendeleev, we think that Mendeleev was a phenomenal scientist who predicted the properties of various undiscovered elements. Now it's time for you to be Mendeleev. I am giving you a clue for ECA lead. Predict the electronic configuration, whether it would be a metal or non-metal, and its formula for an oxide. Can you do that? If you have done this, post it in the comment section. If you are finding difficulty in solving it, then post that difficulty too in the comment section. I will reply to your questions in the comment section. That's all of you for today's lecture. uh, Good luck to all of you. Stay safe, stay blessed, and live happily. Thank you.